Chapter 168. The system said darkness has detected your existence, so this time it led the spiritual tide early to restrict your growth. Divine Tree with supreme intelligence immediately widened his eyes, but he didn't understand anything, suspiciously said, "Threaten him? Did I threaten him?" Divine Tree thought more and more complicated, couldn't understand. Isn't it that I grow by killing other creatures that have died transform into dark energy? Isn't that also making darkness stronger? The key point is this, the system had to explain. Creatures struggle with each other, the dead will return to the darkness, making the darkness stronger. But the creatures you kill are not like that. Divine Tree asked, "What do you mean?" The system said, "The creatures you kill cannot return to the darkness, but become evolution points for you, right? Or in other words, you are the second darkness." Hearing this, Divine Tree was startled. How the hell he was the second darkness, also a big evil demon like that? Seeing the expression of Divine Tree, but the system still talked endlessly. "But anyway, darkness is still stronger than you now, capable of creating a spiritual tide." Divine Tree fell into thought, damn, this time the opponent is really the last bunch, capable of creating a spiritual tide, seems like a god controlling the evolution process of all creatures on a planet. Too terrifying. Can I, a lonely old tree, fight it, or will I die very ugly? That's a future matter. Divine Tree can't know it all, but there's one thing he knows, that is he can't surrender. There's only one way, is to fight to the death. Thinking of this, Divine Tree laughed happily. The system didn't understand anything, why this guy laughed so happily. Unlike him, the system itself was also worried about going crazy, had to manifest to discuss with Divine Tree like this, and he was still laughing cheerfully. Divine Tree laughed a long time, then his mouth still didn't close, bowed his head looking even more dangerous. He said, "I really feel extremely excited." Divine Tree finally figured out the meaning when he reincarnated to this world. Finally, it is this reason. Divine Tree's eyes lit up infinitely, passion, desire, determination all lit up in his eyes at the same time, making him a bit scary. The system, for some reason, felt a bit relieved when it saw this man become so terrifying. The system said, "This spiritual tide does not start from the heart of the earth, but is likely to start from space, rushing straight into the entire universe. This is the most powerful outbreak of the spiritual tide. You must prepare carefully for this opportunity." Then, the system withdrew, and Divine Tree was silent when communicating with the system, like a nap. Divine Tree slowly opened his eyes. All the details of the conversation just now were still echoing. The genius mind once again continuously jumped numbers, opening up the next plans. Nine Tails was sitting quietly on the tree branch. She was the most trusted person of Divine Tree. She always knew when to be by her master's side. Divine Tree gently ordered, "Nine Tails, you go call Tian Qing, Tian Cam, Black Bull, Lava Dragon here. I have something to tell." Nine Tails heard this, immediately obeyed, but she also understood that there was a big thing to do. Her eyes lit up with the determined red light. Tonight the moon is waning, quietly drifting over the sky of Misty Mountain. Just a moment later, the pillars of Misty Mountain were present before the supreme master of this place. They all waited to receive new tasks. Tian Cam's face was a bit worried, suddenly calling everyone here. It seemed that there was something important to do, the last time when the sudden summon was to fight with sea beasts. Divine Tree looked at his younger brothers under his feet for a while, then his voice echoed in space. "Is everyone here?" Divine Tree calmly said, "I will go to practice again, and then fall into a sleep, so this time I have some things for you to do. The cities we have captured, except for Moon City, Peace City will be managed by Tian Cam. The scholars we caught in Moon City, Tian Qing, take them to the north of Misty Mountain to continue their gene transformation project. If they need anything, provide them fully, even the essence of life, so they can produce the highest results. As for the crocodile, you don't need to manage the internal affairs of Misty Mountain anymore. Manage the entire outer ring of the mountain range. The interior will be left to Black Bull to handle. As for Black Bull, the entire interior of Misty Mountain will be managed by you, including war, support, allies. As for the expansion of power, all handed over to you. Nine Tails, if you need manpower, just notify Black Bull." Everyone heard their tasks clearly. all accepted without hesitation. But they also understood, never once did the Master seriously allocate like this. With such allocation, it seems that without the Master everything can still operate normally. Tian Kam, the most sensitive, immediately worried and asked, "Master, how long will you sleep this time?" Divine Tree replied, "I don't know, it could be half a year, or it could be a year, but it won't be too fast." Divine Tree looked over his younger brothers once more and said, "So this time, all matters of Misty Mountain will be handed over to you all." Everyone shouted in unison, "Obey the order!" Divine Tree began to sway his whole body, the blood-red branches constantly shifting chaotically. Divine Tree would try to stretch his roots into space. He had to do this to receive the spiritual tide, because according to the system's information, this tide is likely to come from space rather than from the heart of the earth. In a moment, Divine Tree's whole body exuded a fierce aura. The blue light covered his entire body. "Wait for it, darkness, I will definitely not lose to you." The light became brighter and brighter, dazzling, making Divine Tree's whole body incredibly divine, the greatest and most absolute form ever. Divine Tree thought to himself, "Even if the spiritual power in this world disappears because of you, I will definitely survive." Tian Kem saw this image of her master. It seemed so strange, but she was absolutely enchanted. A master image so great and powerful. Is there any entity in this world as beautiful as this? No, only her master, Tian Kem whispered unconsciously. So beautiful. After a minute, Divine Tree's whole body stretched higher and higher, the tree body also extraordinarily large. The tree canopy covered a vast area, the whole body shimmering like a gem. No need for moonlight, because the magical spiritual light of Divine Tree had shone 10 times brighter than the moon. The people under the tree were so small, as if they had lost in a real paradise. At this moment, Divine Tree officially became a huge towering tree, radiating a divine light that fascinated all directions. On the peak of the Holy Sky Mountain, a small continent hung in the air, surpassing the clouds. A figure was quietly observing the world. The space was completely silent except for the sound of the wind, the white flowers blooming non-stop emitting a strong fragrance. A place called the Dragon's Nest, here still retains the traces of the giant dragons. There are ribs, there are dragon skulls still left, completely gigantic size, making people see a sense of gloomy cold and solemn. A huge creeping foot stepped on the ground, creating a loud noise. A dragon with silver hair and beard stretched its head out of its nest. Deep in the continent of Australia, the final boss is still autistic in the darkness, his whole body covered by countless huge red pimples, his eyes lit up with a deadly light, completely a deathly atmosphere. This final boss's voice echoed turbidly in space. Of course, he stuttered, "This world. Again. About to change. This is a trail in the forest. A wicked wolf is encountering a man in its mouth, constantly growling. This is a rare dinner for this mutant wolf. It has been lurking here since last week. Only today did it meet its prey. These two unfortunate people seem to be ordinary people who climbed this mountain to forage for a living. What a pity." A young man with light blue long hair is crying in fear on the ground. The scene in front of him is truly horrifying. He has to witness the monster eating his relative alive, his mouth constantly screaming for mercy before the mutant wolf. But how could the evil wolf spare him? The cunning wolf suddenly grinned a weird smile, rushed towards this young man intending to eat him. The young man screamed tragically, preparing to face the last moment of his life in pain. Thump! But the next second, the whole body of the mutant wolf was bitten by a huge beast. It was the white tiger of Misty Mountain. The eyes of the white tiger turned red with anger. The sound of broken bones echoed. As easy as porridge, the whole body of the mutant wolf was bitten by the white tiger and thrown aside, dying instantly. The young man saw this scene. His face no longer had a drop of blood, although he had escaped death, but it seemed that this beast was even more terrifying. He didn't know whether to be happy or sad, but at this moment, a hot figure was right behind him. It was Tian Kam, but when he discovered it, in the eyes of this young man, she was like a female demon hiding in the dark, making him shudder. His heart also wanted to jump out. End of chapter 168.